Good morning and welcome to my tidbits for today. I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about what it is that we can do as homeowners to ensure that we're paying the appropriate real estate taxes to our town. So the first thing I would recommend is to go into online assessors database and then the name of your town. I live in Yarmouthport. I would put in Yarmouth, and that brings up a page that tells you what the tax rate is for your town, and then you put in your address and it will bring up information about your property. So this is a good thing to check as a homeowner no matter what, because you can check all the information that the town has for your property and make sure that you're being taxed appropriately. So as an example, one of the houses we bought had a number of things on the field card, it's called field card, that we didn't have at the house. So it said we had a pool and we had a shed and some other things, and we did not. We were being taxed on those items. So I highly urge you to go in and double check the information on the field card and make sure it's correct so that you're being taxed and not overtaxed on the property. So you want to check, number one, the name on the account. So if you just bought your house, sometimes it can take up to a year for the town to update their field card information to reflect the new owners. So don't worry about that. The new owners may get your tax bill, but they'll either forward it to you, or you can get it online, or you can call the town and they'll be able to send you a copy of your new tax bill if you don't have it already. A lot of times when you freshly buy a house, the taxes are already escrowed for you and paid in advance for about 6 months or so. So that should be okay. The other thing I want you to check is the number of bedrooms. That's really important. The town recognizes a certain number of bedrooms in a home, and that is based on your sewer system, or your septic system rather. And if the septic is a tank that is a certain size, just because it can accommodate a 4-bedroom home does not mean that the town is authorizing you to have 4 bedrooms in your home. Very often the town determines the number of bedrooms based on the lot size, the setbacks, the water table. There's a lot of reasons why they may limit the number of bedrooms to your home. And so they may require an oversized system to make sure that there's no overflow or problems in the future. That doesn't mean you can automatically add 2 more bedrooms to your home if you have a 2-bedroom home and a 4-bedroom septic. So that's really important to check. So if you are buying a home, you want to make sure that the field card reflects what the sellers or that listing states. So if the field card says it's a 2-bedroom home, you want to make sure that they're selling it as a 2-bedroom home and you're paying for a 2-bedroom home. You're not paying for a 3-bedroom home just because they've got it set up as a 3-bedroom. I can speak from experience on that. We bought our home. The field card said 2 bedrooms. The listing said 3 bedrooms. It was set up as a 3-bedroom. But what we found out was one of those bedrooms is actually a den. So in terms of the town recognizing it, it's what the town states. And if you disagree with the town, you need to go and talk to somebody about that and prove to them that your septic is big enough and that you can have a 3-bedroom on your lot. And that's really important because you're going to get more money for your home if it's appropriately listed on the field card and with the agent when you go to sell it. So be really careful about that. Very often you may see things like seller has set it up as a 3-bedroom. Very often people will put an extra bed in a room because they've got guests that come on the weekends or something like that. But make sure that information matches, and that's something you can look at in advance before you put your house on the market to make sure that is accurate. Also check the square footage. If you've added space and you've added a room onto your house and the town hasn't recognized that, you're not being taxed on it, which is good for you. However, when you go to sell your house, you want to make sure that is recognized square footage because it's permitted. So assuming that you got permits for your addition, you want to make sure that the buyer knows that you've got that extra square footage and you've notified the town that you have this square footage that was approved through the building department, and it's going to be in agreement with what you're being taxed on in the future for the new buyer. So the new buyer shouldn't have to go do all of that background legwork. That's something you should do in advance. And then just check any updates. So it'll tell you, any permits that were pulled, things along that line that you can see on the field card. So it's really important to check that. I would check it periodically to make sure that you're not getting overtaxed on things that you don't have. If you got rid of a shed, make sure that that's been deleted from your field card. If you filled in a pool, if you, any updates that you do, put a new roof on, make sure that that is reflected in your field card. And you can always call the town and get information from them to make sure that that's updated. Very often I found that the building department doesn't talk to the assessor's department, and so a lot of that information isn't reflected in your field card. Have a great week, everybody. See you next time.